The sun. Now, we know the sun gives energy and life to the earth. And without the sun, well, we wouldn't be here. But you know what? The sun has a limited lifetime. Now, we don't really have to worry about that anytime soon, because inside of the sun, there is a fusion energy, and that fuels the sun. It still has a lot of fuel left, about 5 billion years worth of fuel. But you know what? In 5 billion years, this is what will happen. The sun will run out of hydrogen. And our sun right now is currently in its most stable phase of its life cycle. And it has been since the birth of the solar system, which was some 4.5 billion years ago. But once that hydrogen gets used up, the sun goes out of the stable phase. Then it fuses to its core. Then there's a shell of fusion hydrogen. It forms around the helium. An astrophysicist by the name of Gillian Scudler wrote in an article, she said that when this happens, there'll be gravitational forces that'll take over, compressing the core of the sun and allowing the rest of the sun to expand, and then it'll grow really, really large. And in fact, it'll grow so large, it'll cover all of the planets, including Earth. And at this point, the sun will be a red giant. And then for about 1 billion more years, it burns as a red giant. Then that hydrogen core will deplete. Then there'll be an abundance of helium. And then the helium will disappear, gravity takes over, the sun is going to shrink into a dwarf, and then it'll be just left behind as a nebula. Now, positive thing about this is it's all 7 to 8 billion years before that happens. Right now, the life expectancy of a human being is 78.99 tenths of a year, up from in 1951, which it was 68.1 years. And by 2099, the United Nations projects that our life expectancy is going to rise to 88.78 years. 88.78 years life expectancy. So, burnout. The sun burning out in billions of years from now. A little bit closer to home, human burnout. Now, the term human burnout, well, that was developed in the 1970s by a psychologist named Herbert Freudenberger. And Freudenberger described burnout, talked about the consequences of a high abundance of stress. And he said the stress usually came about in professions that were known to be helping professions. Doctors, nurses, teachers, who constantly worked for other people, in the service of other people. And they would talk about being burned out or exhausted, having a difficult time coping with that. Now we not only use burnout for helping professions, but it can affect just about anyone. A lot of career-driven people, celebrities, lots of employees, even homemakers talk about burnout. And a lot of experts don't agree on what burnout is. We do know that burnout has consequences. We're not exactly clear on how burnout can be diagnosed. We also don't really know how common burnout is, but we do know burnout. And after a year of pandemics and racial strife and loss and grief, and the constant need we feel to produce, to keep our economic engines running, what can we do? Well, maybe this. Maybe we can decide to celebrate. You can even say this: I just want to celebrate another day of living. Welcome to Steven Thompson Experience. My name is Steven Thompson, and this is my experience. I am curious, and I'm trying to be a compassionate leader who is a creator. And I created the Steven Thompson Experience, a podcast for leaders, followers, hopeful optimists, careful pragmatists, bold asserters, and people who want to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. My goal is to use this platform to educate, inform, and inspire individuals to use their gifts and their talents in the service of others. I just want to celebrate is the title of this episode, but it is also a song that was recorded by the band Rare Earth in the year 1971. And I just want to celebrate was on the album by Rare Earth called One World. And it was the 5th single that the band released overall. It was, in fact, one of the most popular hits of the 1970s. And some critics even said that if this song would have been left off the album would have been in the bargain bin. It went up to number 7 on the pop charts, and it was actually the band's final top 10 single. It even got on the soul charts. And it was the opening song on their live album, Rare Earth in Concert. In later years, it was included on various live and best of albums, including the song being covered many times. And you can also find that song in movies and on television. And the key lyrics, I just want to celebrate another day of living. I just want to celebrate another day of life. Life, celebration of our talents, celebration of our abilities, celebration of what we created. And let's talk about a person whose life we can celebrate. Her name was Sarah Boone, and she was born near the town of New Bern in Craven County, North Carolina. She was born in 1832. Her parents were enslaved. She earned her freedom at one point. And some people believe that it came when she got married in 1847 to James Boone, who was a free African American. And the couple went on to have 8 children. Now, being able to use the Underground Railroad, they were able to get out of North Carolina and make it to New Haven, Connecticut before the Civil War started. And the family built their home in an African American neighborhood near Dixwell Avenue. And Boone worked as a dressmaker. And her husband was a bricklayer. And some records say that they even were successful enough to own their own home. One of the things is that when she lived in North Carolina, it was illegal to teach African Americans to read and write. Well, Boone, when she got to Connecticut and she was older, she learned how to read and she learned how to write. And Sarah Boone's accomplishment was this: she was a dressmaker, but she made her fame by inventing the modern day ironing board. And when she wrote her patent, she wrote that the purpose of her invention was to produce a cheap, simple, convenient, and highly effective device, particularly adapted to be used in ironing the sleeves and bodies of ladies' garments. And when it was approved in 1892, Boone became one of the first African American women to be awarded a patent. So ironing boards, getting the wrinkles out of clothes. Let's go back to this idea of burnout, unwinding from burnout, getting out of burnout. Well, Emily and Amelia Nagoski are 2 twin sisters, and they wrote a book called Burnout, Dealing with the Stress Cycle. They said there's 3 causes to burnout. Depersonalization from your work. You detach from the benefits that your work has to other people. When you stop to see the purpose in your work, that leads to burnout. Two, another cause of burnout is a decreased sense of accomplishment. You continually tell yourself, what I'm doing isn't making a difference. And the third is emotional exhaustion. And what the sisters said is that men, their burnout takes the form of depersonalization. And women, their burnout takes the form of emotional exhaustion. And what they talk about is this, the idea that we have stressors. And our stressors, well, those are our work, our commute, our relationship, our bills, money, the future. Those are stressors. And stress is the conditions, the physiological conditions inside of our body. Fight, flight, freeze, the generation, chemicals, that is the stress. And that's inside of our body. So what do we do? Well, we have to celebrate. Celebrate. The idea of celebrating, the idea of taking time to celebrate another day of living, to celebrate another day of life. One of the lyrics in the song says this, I had my hand on a dollar bill and a dollar bill flew away, but the sun is still shining down on me and it's here to stay. Remember what we said? Billions of years, the sun is here to stay. The money is fleeting, it flies away. So this idea that we can celebrate another day of life. If you think about it in the scriptures, it says this in Matthew 11:28, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Rest is a gift to receive. Decide to celebrate. Next, reattach yourself to the benefits that your work gives to others. You see, when you're telling yourself that your work doesn't make a difference, when you're telling yourself that your work doesn't have meaning, that is an irrational thought. That is a story that you are telling, and you can tell a different one. You can begin to tell the story that your work does make a difference. Literally, what do you do each day? If you work at a fast food restaurant and you hand a coffee out the window, you are helping somebody to wake up. If you are a doctor or if you are a nurse, your very act of service is helping another person feel better. If you are an educator, when you stand in front of a child and you are teaching them a concept that they did not know before, if you are in a space and not even doing it correctly, just your presence is helping make somebody's life better. So you can reattach and begin to tell the story that your work, your effort makes a difference. That showing up every day makes someone's life better, and you're a part of it. Slow yourself down. Try this out. Close your eyes. Follow along with this, or maybe you're in the position where you can actually visualize it. Either way, outside of the window, the sun is shining. Now, if you take a look at the sky, you'll see birds flying. Your ears will detect the sounds that each bird makes. If you close your eyes, you can feel the wind flowing around you. You have made it to another day. You can celebrate another day of living. How do you celebrate another day of living? When you know that out there someone is suffering, that people are hurting, it feels guilty, right? To seek to find joy. Well, wrong. Look around and pursue contentment and gratitude because it is the right thing to do. The efforts you make today will encourage another person, even the most mundane task. Perhaps that those you don't look forward to, those tasks that you don't enjoy. It could be cleaning a room. It could be changing the oil in your car. It could be washing or wishing someone well. It could be spending time with another person. All of those have benefit. Say this to yourself. I just want to celebrate another day of living. I just want to celebrate another day of life. And you can do this. You can celebrate another day of living by noticing what is around you. We have accesses to experiences. We have options available to us. We have talents and gifts that we've been blessed with. We have the clothes on our back. We have the food that we ate today and the food that we will eat tomorrow, and food that we're looking forward to eating next week. We can be thankful for just that. For food, for clothing, for a roof over our heads, and thankful for the options that we have. You know, the difficult times and the hard times are going to come, but then they'll go. You're strong enough to face them, even when you believe you aren't. Just act as if you are. So what's in your present moment? Even if you don't want to, even if you don't feel like it, decide you're going to celebrate another day of living. This is Steven Thompson, and this has been my experience. My goal today is educate, inform, and inspire, and I hope I have moved you a bit in that direction. But if in any way I upset, offended, or triggered you, I apologize. It is never my intent. If you're facing loss, you're facing tragedy, I pray for you to have the comfort and the support you need to help you face them. But if you're happy right now, take the time to be thankful for what you have and remember those that are battling right now. Feel free to reach out to me through the comments and leave an email address if you like to dialogue. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe. Until next time, have a wonderful week, and remember to celebrate another day of living. Take care. This is Steven Thompson, and this has been my experience. Have a great one.